Fabulous. So thank you all for being here today. This is the Connect Editors Forum. I'm Tony Brand, I'm Head of Internal Communications at CUH. So I'm responsible for Connect, which is our staff intranet. You've all been invited to today's forum as editors of Connect, and I think we have a community of about 90 editors on Connect now, and growing all the time, really. I think we're still training people on a regular basis. I'm joined by Simon Jeffers, who is our digital project manager. Simon was very heavily involved in setting Connect up and is still involved in supporting me on the project. We've actually got a new member of staff joining next week, Judith Smith, and she'll be manage your kind of day-to-day contact on Connect going forward. We've got a few slides we were going to share. And I think, Simon, you're also going to do a bit of demo in the site itself. So just to run through the agenda, what we're planning to cover today, and just to, I guess, a bit of background on the reason we're running editors forums. I think actually our plan was to do them more regularly than we've actually managed. So I think the last one we had was in June last year. We'd really like to do these on a more regular basis, ideally quarterly, and it's an opportunity for us to update you as editors on any enhancements that have been made to the site since your training, any upgrades to the Wagtail system that might impact on what you're doing or how you're using the system, and also an opportunity for you just to kind of feedback to us how you're finding it, any issues you're coming across, any questions, any ideas for enhancements. So today we're planning to go through the Wagtail upgrade features that have been made over the last few months, and think kind of giving a bit of a view on what might come with Wagtail version 6, Connect enhancements that have been made over the last since launch, so since January last year, but we thought it would be good to give people a refresher of what was available. Just a few reminders on best practice that I know is run through in training, but some things that we're that are coming up as kind of common themes during the moderation process, and also then just an opportunity to get your feedback and for you to ask us any questions about the system or plans for Connect for the future. So I'll hand over to Simon to talk through Wagtail upgrade features. Simon, do you want me to stop sharing? Are you going to share your screen?
Thanks, Tony. No, don't stop sharing yet, but I am going to share my screen and I'll just take it over from there. But I just wanted to, so I'm going to take us through the upgrades, the Wagtail upgrades and the enhancements. And I think it's probably worth just saying that when we're talking about the upgrades, the Wagtail upgrades, we're kind of talking about the stuff that's being pushed out centrally by the vendors and the support community that take care of Wagtail, that is the content management system that runs our intranet, and it kind of runs websites and intranets all over the world. So there's a big community that's constantly sort of feeding into it and basically making updates and improvements to that content management system. And that over time just gets channeled into the product that we all use as editors. And those sort of Wagtail upgrades take place, I don't know, every quarter, I think roughly every quarter, but there can actually be some that hit in close succession, and then we might have a longer period of time before an upgrade takes place. And with those upgrades, kind of like you can imagine a Windows upgrade, if you're familiar with that, there's lots of stuff that isn't really relevant to us either as users of the intranet or as editors. But what we're going to do now is just show you some of the stuff that's taken place with upgrades over the last several months, pretty much since we've launched, that is useful to us as editors or might have an impact on how we do things. And that's sort of what this slide is just showing us. And I'm going to take you through and just give you a quick demonstration or just show you each of these things. So you've got a frame of reference. And then I'll also show you where you can kind of find this if you're ever curious and you want to be going through upgrades and see what's changed over time. You'll kind of filter out all the stuff that you realize doesn't mean anything to us. They'll talk about security or codes or stuff like that, which just doesn't affect us directly. But then you might see other things where there could be some screenshots of new stuff and you think, oh, that's interesting. And you'll kind of work out whether it's going to be useful to you or something you want to find out more about. So what I'll do, I think if we just look at what I'm going to talk about, dark mode display, theme option, expandable preview panel. These are things. Display theme is the way that it looks, so us as editors, not the way that the actual intranet looks. It's purely our view, our panel. The expandable, all of this actually is just for us as editors. This is not about scratch that. I was going to say there's the email template that actually is around how things present to end users, but everything else on this list is what we as editors see, and whether it kind of hopefully makes things easier for us and just improves our workflows. So I'm just going to minimize part of my screens, and then I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully now it's displaying an editor panel that most of you should be familiar with, that you'll see the landing screen. Mine might look a bit different to yours in that it's currently black or it's in a dark mode. And so this is something that they rolled out over the last few updates, or a few updates ago, I think. And it's a preference thing. If you like it to display like this, if you find it easier on your eyes, easier to pick out information, this is now something we can toggle on and off. So I'll just show you how we do that. Down in the bottom corner here, you'll see, at the moment I'm just logged in as a generic profile, but for ourselves, when you're logged in under your names, you'll see your name down the bottom left of this corner of this Wagtail panel. If you click on that little up chevron, you'll see account. Click on account, scroll down, and you're going to see theme preferences. So this is where you can select your theme preference. You can either choose light or system default. They're the same thing actually. So if I just choose system default, and I'm going to save my account settings, we're going to see it reset to the layout or the look that we're probably mostly all familiar with. So that, just to recap, I just went down to the editor panel or the profile panel down the bottom left corner, clicked on accounts, and then scrolled down and chose theme preferences. You just toggle between it, work out what you like, switch back and forth. Only affects your view. So yeah, have at it. So that was one of the updates that rolled out recently. The next one is expandable preview panel. So this, I think I might have spoken about this in the last forum, I'm not sure, but it's worth going over again. So if I just go to a page that I'm looking to edit, as I click on these three dots, I know that this is actually something that's changed over the last few upgrades. So this is a standard editor view that I think we're seeing at the moment. So you're going to see something similar to what I'm clicking on. There are some admins that are probably on this call as well, and they're working with the communications team, and they'll perhaps see a more expansive menu here. But these sort of three little dots have become a way that you can get into a page to edit that from memory we didn't have when we first launched Connect. But another way is just to click on this name, and that will take me into the same place. But those three little dots gave me the edit option, and that was another route into this view that we've got. But the upgrade thing that I want to talk about, expandable panel preview. So when we went through training, I think everyone should have been pointed to this little preview panel that we get up here. And we clicked on that, and it pretty much brought out a view, I think from memory, was kind of limited to this sort of size. And you could see it initially in your portrait view of your mobile phone or your tablet, or a landscape view. And this landscape view, you can see it's quite compressed. So we've now got an option, we can drag this out, we can scale this preview panel. And so I'm just hovering about halfway down. We can see these two vertical lines. If I click on that, I'm just clicking and holding my mouse, and then I'm sort of dragging it out to give you more of just a view that you can actually read some of your content. You can get a better feel for the layout. Obviously, it starts to now consume the editing space where you've got things that you want to be filling in. So it's sort of striking a balance. I could sort of scale it down, and then I'm not actually overriding or overlaying any of my edit panel stuff, but I've made this screen bigger as well. Equally though, you could go to a mobile phone, you realize you don't need it to the mobile phone layout, you don't need that much space, you can scroll it back again. So that's sort of a feature that came out with an upgrade over the last several months. And then we've also got, staying on this editing screen, we've got a collapse all button. So that's up here at the top. So something we might have noticed as we scroll down, if you've got quite a long page, which this page is, it's got quite a lot of elements in it, stream field elements. We've got some headings, paragraphs, images, documents, things like that. If you're finding you're kind of needing to traverse the page quite a bit, go to the top and the bottom and you're wanting to make a change, see how it looks in your preview, another change further down, that sort of scrolling, because everything's expanded out, can be a bit time consuming. So now you can pretty much, there's a button up top right corner here where it says collapse all. You hit it and everything sort of, well, everything collapses as we've just seen on this view. And then we can expand out the things that we're interested in. And so I've expanded out the body, which is where most of the stream fields are. And you can see everything, every sort of sub element within that is also collapsed. And that just makes it easier for me if I'm wanting to scroll through and kind of go, actually, it was just the, I don't know, the notes, this paragraph here that I was wanting to look at. Oops, I should, I think I just clicked on that heading and that then expanded it out. I clicked on something else there, which we're going to tap on, which is this sort of pop-up menuing that, to be honest, it has been in effect for, you know, a good long while now, at least 6 months, I'd say. So this is actually probably isn't news to anyone, but this is something that they're actually sort of making enhancement to this as we go. So there could be changes that happen with upgrades. Again, just like Windows, sometimes they're fairly noticeable and you kind of see something new and a new feature and it's like, oh, great, that's new. But then over time, that same feature could be sort of enhanced or refined by subsequent upgrades. And that's something that is happening at the moment with this sort of the effectiveness of this. I think they went to this pop-up view first of these sort of menus to being able to choose elements that you wanted to have stream fields instead of doing them in body. So when we launched, I think if we wanted a stream field, a new element to go into a page, if I clicked on that plus sign, then it would kind of take up an element. I'm motioning with my fingers, which doesn't help, but it would take up part of this page and it would push everything else down and you kind of choose what you want. It worked. It was just a different way of presenting all of the same features that are here, the same choices, whereas now it's a pop-up sort of floating menu that we've got. And then search options, I mean, to be honest, I've never used this. What would it give me if I typed in heading? Yeah, yeah, for a relatively small sort of menu pop-up like this, search doesn't have much value, but potentially over time they could be anticipating this could become more involved, or perhaps other sites, websites have a lot more stream field elements than we do, so maybe search is useful for them. For us, not really. You just look at what you got there and make your selection, choose the element that you're wanting to put into it. So that I've kind of shown both the collapsible nature of it, and if I wanted to do the converse and expand everything out, I've just gone back up to here, up to the right-hand column. It's not changing how this previews. You're not collapsing your content in terms of what your users, the viewers, will sort of see. It's just for you as an editor to kind of make it easier to navigate. And so that little pop-up, that's a pop-up mini map is what it's called in the upgrade notes. I just call it like a pop-up edit panel. Oh, they might be calling it, so that could be the, okay, yeah, no, that's a pop-up mini map. So it's a map of all the stream field elements we've got. Now, if I choose this paragraph, I'm going to put this in and I'll type something in here. So now there's a pop-up edit panel. So previously, if we clicked on this, this would have been similarly, it would have just taken up a layer within this paragraph. So it would actually, the rich text editing options we've got would have taken this up. Same deal. It gave us everything that this little pop-up's giving it. It's just presenting it now in a different way that perhaps could be easier on mobile devices if people are sort of editing on tablets and stuff. Probably unlikely for us in our environment, but it's just, you know, a new way that this same information is presenting. So that was the pop-up edit panel. And then what I will show here, so this is, I'm going to put in a link. I'm going to use that pop-up edit panel. This is not real email, but it's fine. So we're selecting this. Now I'll just say we're wanting to make this a hyperlink to actual email. This link button is what we click to make a link, and then we click on the email link, something that they've added recently, I think on perhaps the last upgrade this took place, maybe it was the upgrade before, but there's now this sort of configuration box, and this is something we had on old Connect and we kind of lost, unfortunately, when we came to this new version of Connect. And now this has been implemented that if you wanted to configure an email template for your email hyperlink, this would be the thing that appears and you could do it. This thing here where it's actually, like I could leave this blank. I'm seeing this mandatory field up here. If you're using this box, then obviously you've got to put an email in here, but you can still make your, oh, no, sorry. Yeah, you've got to use this email. Sorry, you've got to use the email address because I could actually have made this any sort of text. just got myself a bit confused here. I could say email us for more information. So you could actually make any sort of text a link to initiate this email template. So if I then clicked on that link and then say I want it to be an email link, I've still got to put in an actual email address. So that is a mandatory field that it's going to be. So even though I'd put down the email address initially in my text, I'd still have to manually populate it in here. And then the rest of this is what becomes the optional content, but you could put it that it's if you wanted a standard subject line, so the emails are coming into your mailbox. You kind of probably a lot of you have used this on Old Connect, but you could just say, what is it? Request for appraisal information. Garbage, but then some body of the text. And so it's something we were using this the other day where there's actually, pieces of information that people are going to need to include in this email for it to be useful for the person who's receiving it, and they can then act upon it. So, you could say name, contact, what, yada, yada, but that sort of thing, you can kind of populate the prompts that they should then fill in when they actually have this email launch in their email client. So, Outlook is going to typically be the client that launches the little email field that a user would then populate and then click send, and it would send to whatever the email address is in there. So that's a good thing that they've brought on from an upgrade that's useful for us. Now accessible, I'm sort of going through a list that I'm looking off screen. So just what we showed, that slide that Tony showed before, I'm just reading that off screen. And we're coming up to the last element of upgrade features that are useful to us as editors, and it's the accessibility checker enhancements. So this is something very much a work in progress that like continually improving. When I say work in progress, like we started, there was some accessibility type feature initially, which I think was around reading age from memory. So we got here, this is a good sentence. So it's not giving me a reading age at the moment. It could be because I've not formed it as a sentence. I hadn't used a full stop and I was still in motion, still typing. So it didn't give me a reading age, which is down the bottom here. And that's just disappeared as I've tried to select it. But yeah, so that was something we had when we launched. We could see a reading age, but that was more or less the extent of it. So that's accessibility in terms of, comprehension and trying to structure text in a way that's easily read or sort of at an appropriate reading level. But then maybe from this accessibility checker enhancements, I'm actually drawing a bit of a blank as to what this upgrade has got. But perhaps it's more useful if I show you what the next upgrade that we're going to get. I'd say, I don't want to say when it will happen because, as I said, they kind of roll these upgrades out across a vast number of customers, and we're just one of those. But we will get it, and we've had sight of the accessibility enhancements. Tony, I'm going to stop sharing. If you could just pop up the slide deck again. And then, so what we've got here, so this slide is displaying the accessibility enhancements that will come with the next upgrade, where you can see here, just imagine we've got this text, it's a paragraph field that we've seen previously. Someone's typed in a whole bunch of text. Something worth saying, actually, you see that up the top of this, I'm motioning to the paragraph text where we've got bold, italics, H2, H3. That I can tell that's actually a screenshot that's old, and that's not actually how ours is presenting now. So that's part of the editing menu that now pops up for us. You can still pin it, and I didn't actually show you. So that's, yeah, exactly. We're seeing a little pin where Tony's marking on the corner. If you've got something more useful for something like this, where it's quite a big amount of text, and you might have like a number of different formatting choices you want to make within that, you might find it useful for that pop-up when it appears. There's a little pin icon that you can hit, and then it will just tack it to the top of that stream field element that you're then going through. So that's what they've done here. But then often to the right-hand corner, we're seeing some actual, I'm just struggling to read it. So we're kind of getting basically accessibility type suggestions. And this is a demo screenshot they've just shared as part of their upgrade notes. And this is going to be something that's going to be really useful for us, where, to be honest, I'm not sure how we'd enact it. I can see there's sort of little metric things up top, but when we know, this is the type of thing that we'll communicate out and say, look, there's now enhanced accessibility features or checking that we can do on our documents, on our pages. So make sure that you make use of it and kind of, enact it. You've got pages open, elements open, just click on it and see what sort of feedback it gives you, rather than just that thing of saying, look, your reading age is whatever, 18, and you're kind of at a bit of a loss as to what changes you should make to improve it. This is going to give us those suggestions for improving it. So that's going to be great when that rolls out. So those are the upgrade enhance or the upgrade improvements or improved features that we've had through upgrades. I'm going to talk about, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen because now I'm going to talk about the enhancements that we, CUH, have kind of engaged the vendor with to deliver on our behalf. So everything that I've shown to date has been something that just goes out with Wagtail, it goes out to everyone. But then we've got enhancements that we, CUH, kind of need to direct our supplier to do, and that typically costs money. And there's a backlog of enhancements that we're looking to make. And to date, most of the enhancements have been around the end user experience. So they're not really for us as editors. Something which is a bit of a crossover is if we go to the next slide, Tony, it's going to be the login, the NHS Mail login. So I'm going to show you through that. Most of us, pretty much everyone, would be using that rather than the admin login that I think we showed to editors when we were first rolling out Connect. But pretty soon after we launched, that NHS Mail login sort of got implemented, and that's something we all use. So we use it as editors, but it's also used by general staff. I mean, one, if they're coming in remotely, so anyone who comes into Connect and they're not on the CUH network, they can use that NHS Mail login and they can get access to it from their phones, tablets, whatever, and not be connected to the CUH network. But also if they're wanting to list things, so SwapShop, that's been brought back on to Connect, and so that if someone wants to make a listing for that or accommodation board, they need to use their NHS Mail login. So too commenting news, and then customizing quick links and collaboration area. That's going to be something Tony talks about. That's not yet a sort of published or live up or enhancement, but it's coming soon. But what I'll do, I'll just keep this on my other screen, and now I'm going to share again. Sorry that I did say I'll show you where to see these upgrade notes if you're wanting to see them. So if you go to help, so I'm back on the editor panel, go to help down the bottom, we can see this right here. So we're on version 5.2. The next version upgrade version is going to be 6, could be 6 point something, or it could just be 6.0. But that's the one which is coming, in the weeks ahead, and we'll see those accessibility checker enhancements. But if you're wanting to see what's changed in the version you're in, you can click on that one here. And actually, I was expecting or hoping this would also, so this is great, it shows you what's changed on 5.2. Bit of a scroll through. This is where, all of us can look at this and get a sense for what's new. But I was also thinking that it showed us all of them. Okay, no, I might need to come back to that one. There is a page which basically lists all of the historic changes there's been. I'm going to need to share that after this call. But if we go back to Connect, and now I'll show you. So there's two ways. So the NHS Mail login. So basically this presentation, this view that we've got here, I'm actually logged in, so this isn't going to work 100%, but I think maybe if I click on this, it will take me. But if we were on the home page or any sort of page, you see this little icon up top, you click on this and it did work, and it will take you to this screen. So this is the NHS Mail login. If someone was trying to get to CUH Connect from outside of the CUH network, they get taken to this page. You put in your nhs.net credentials, your email, I'm not going to log in because I'm logged in under a different profile at the moment. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. We're kind of seeing this. This is a familiar interface for many of us, because this would also be how you access, or this interface, the same sort of presentation would be what you'd go through to access your emails via a web browser. And that would take us to here. And now I'm realizing I do need to be logged in because I'm wanting to show you. I'm just going to go to a different screen. So this, I am actually logged in under my editor profile, and this is going to be where we see we'd need to be logged in like this if we were wanting to use, what do we want to use? We want to use something, going
Commenting
blank.
on news.
Commenting on news, the swap shop. That was the thing. I am going to show you commenting on news. I'm going to show you swap shop. So if we want to add things to it, just type swap shop into the search. This comes up. This right here. So if I wasn't logged in, if I was just on the CUH network, if I clicked on this, it would take me to the login screen. But because I'm logged in, any of us can add sort of listings to the swap shop. Here it is, pretty straightforward in what you need to do, and add things on here. It gives us some explanation. There is some guidance if you feel that you need it. But like I said, I think most of us will just intuit our way through it. This same sort of layout is used also for the accommodation listing. It's held in a different place and sort of a different team manages it, but the engine or the code and everything that runs SwapShop is the same sort of code that runs the accommodation listing. So the experience is very much the same. You need to be logged in, you click on an add create listing, and there's a bit of guidance that's available as well. And you see things here, and people can filter in terms of, room and house, room and flat share, offered or wanted, things like that. And that's the same thing happens on the swap shop, and you can, have offered, or you could want something and use that, and that's available and viewed by different people throughout the trust. But as you could tell, sort of being logged into it or needing to be logged into it, you can see that it is just CUH staff who kind of have access to and use and able to use these platforms and make listings on them. And then Tony said that we've got the commenting on news. So if I go news, I could have just gone back to the home page. Right, I could read any of these articles, today's bulletin. If I wanted to make a comment on it, anything on it, down the bottom, scrolling to, there's bulletin's an interesting one because there is a whole bunch of diverse and different stories within each bulletin. Typically it comes out to our emails, but it's also published on the Connect intranet as well. But if I wanted to make a comment, I'd see this option if I wasn't logged in. So anyone who's just coming into it via a browser on a CUH machine and they haven't logged into it, they'll see that they're able to comment, but they won't actually be able to comment until they've signed into NHSnet, which I've already done. Just type a comment saying, I'm not going to post this, but again, it's pretty straightforward. There's no expensive instructions for it. Customizable links. Again, this is something else that happens when we are logged in, and is a feature that an enhancement that was delivered and communicated out via, so a lot of this stuff you've potentially already seen out via daily bulletin sort of communications, but we've got quick links here. I'm jumping between this one. So I'm logged in from a non-BYOD browser. So I'm coming in from outside of the CUH network, but then I've also got a browser here that is on the CUH network. And if I go here and just sign out of this, so we're going to see this is the landing page of a user who's not logged in. So if someone just fired up a browser on a CUH machine, they haven't logged in to connect using their CUH email address, these are the apps that display in the popular apps panel. So these are apps that, as the name suggests, that there are more popular apps really than can fit on this panel. So this is going to be designed in consultation with the medical director's office, and apps that really are used high volume. They're used by both sections of the trust, clinical, non-clinical. Hovering over that, I should perhaps be doing health roster, things like that. So we've kind of made a best effort in terms of creating this list here because there's limited space, finite space. But what can happen is that this can be customized by every user to really just show the apps that are their most used apps, the apps that they want to have listed. And they do it by at the moment, you'd click on this customize, and this is it would take you to this page, and I will log in now. My multi-factor, which I forgot about. Okay, so that's now going through. Processing is going to drop me. Okay, yeah, so it's dropping me back on customize, and I'm just going to now jump to another browser window. So imagine this is me logged in. So I clicked on customize then, so it was actually taking me to a screen to say, all right, what do you want to change? What I actually wanted to do was just show you that this view changed. So we had the popular apps initially, and then I logged in, and now I actually see my quick links. And you can put not just apps on here, you can have pages. So I've got a page, Connect Support. That's a page that, we often use within the comms team, or is often used for different things. So you can hot link or quick link your used pages. Enhancements is another one, another page that's often used. There are things on there that change around Staff Bank. But equally, I've also got links to apps that are frequently used. And so that customize option, once you're signed in, you click on that, you then get taken to this view where you literally can customize it. And I think it tells you, yeah, you can fit about 12 sort of links on here, and you can link to the apps themselves. You can link to pages and a good variety of things. So that is customizable links. And Tony, I think I'll stop sharing, and collaboration area is over to you.
Thank you, Simon. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about collaboration area, which is an enhancement we're working on at the moment. And the idea is that there will be an area within Connect where we will pose questions. It will be managed by the communications team, certainly in the first instance, where we might ask for feedback from staff on particular topics or issues, and people will be able to comment with ideas of how we might address said issue or topic, and people will be able to click whether if they like somebody else's comment, and that will upvote essentially. So the people with the most likes on those comments will show higher up, and this is just an opportunity, something that came up as a potential enhancement to have an area within Connect that was a bit more engaging, and we were able to get a bit more two-way conversation happening on Connect. So we're hoping to launch with the first question within the next month, and I'll let you all know when that's out. But essentially, nothing really from an editor point of view, but from a user point of view, we'll be encouraging people to log in and to add to that conversation and that topic area. So those are kind of enhancements. We also just wanted to take the opportunity to chat through some best practice reminders, and we usually cover these within training, but there's a couple of common themes that are coming up as we're going through the moderation process. The first one being around the listing summary. So when you add content, there's sort of two tabs. One is the content, and one is, I think it's called promotion on the link, and that's where you add the listing summary. It's a mandatory field, so you can't pass through that. And I think what we're finding is a lot of people are copying and pasting the title of the page within the listing summary. And what we're asking editors to do is add something more descriptive in that listing summary. If you imagine from a user point of view, if I type something in and I get into search, I get shown a number of options. What is not very helpful is a kind of, well, ideally we'd have quite a descriptive page title, but also having that listing summary makes the user think, yes, that is the thing that I was looking for. So as descriptive as possible title as you can, knowing that it needs to be quite short and snappy, but please use the listing summary as a way of adding more detail to help users navigate if they're using search. Just remember to use sentence case on page titles and like subtitles and sections. And in terms of documents, I think we talk about these a lot in training, and the steer is very much to avoid documents, mostly because accessibility issues. And I think it will be interesting to see when Wagtail 6 comes, how much of these are flagged as documents being inaccessible. I don't know if it will have a document accessibility checker within it. Any Merlin documents should not be added to Connect at all. They should be snippets. You should be selecting the Merlin snippet, which will then add a link to the page. Think about whether you actually need the document content itself or whether it is page content, and avoid legacy documents such as doc. Simon, I think that was one you added, but I think we're not sure the impact of what that will have as the Wagtail upgrades happen. Colin, you've got a question.
Yeah, it's a quickie. I'm not familiar with the term sentence case. Could you elaborate, please?
Yes, so it is capital letter at the beginning of the sentence and then all lowercase. So what we tend, I think what people tend to do is, where we've seen this most, is an uppercase letter at the start of every word in a title. We don't use that. We use sentence case. I think mostly it is within our style guideline, but I think for accessibility reasons and readability, it's easier to read sentence case. Sorry, Colin, that's a bit of jargon I've thrown in there.
No, it's fine. It's just it was that term that I wasn't familiar with. I'm completely agreeing with you that there are far too many capital letters used everywhere.
Yeah, it does. I think it's one of these that, from an accessibility point of view, it slows down the reading and can impact on the readability. So yeah, I mean, generally throughout what we're writing, we should be using the sentence case. They were the kind of main bits we wanted to run through, and I did want to leave some time for people to ask any questions, or if you've got feedback, when you're using it, thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great if it did this, that, or the other? Because Simon alluded to it, but we are keeping a track, a big enhancements tracker, where we're saying, really, we'd like it to do this, we'd like it to do that, and what happens if we ever manage to scrape some money together, we then think about how we can make those enhancements happen. Fee, you've got a question or an idea?
Yeah, it was. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I didn't have my mic down. It was just about the sentence case. So I have a secretarial background, so I'm really hot on there should be capital letters with things like pathology where I work. It should be a capital P for pathology and stuff like that. So when you're doing a title, I know you're saying it should only be a capital letter at the beginning, but if you've got words in there like pathology or like a medical name or whatever, they should be a capital letter. Otherwise, it's not English.
Well, here's the nuance.
It's not grammatically correct.
In that our style guide says that we don't capitalize department names or job titles, and I know this goes against lots of things,
yeah.
but yeah.
And that really does, it's one of my bugbears when I see small letters when there shouldn't be small letters, because that's not English, it's not grammatically correct. So I would probably put capital letters. I know what you're saying, but
yeah,
when you come from a secretarial background with qualifications, you know, as a secretary, if you did that, you'd fail, you know,
yeah.
exams and stuff. So I
understand it does kind of go against a lot of what people have learned. What I would say is, if not to worry about it too much, because it all goes through moderation, and we would update to be in line with kind of corporate style. So don't worry about it too much.
Okay. Thank you.
Colin.
Got a list of things here, but I'll just hit a couple of them. My biggest bugbear with Wagtail is it's still set to US English. And it's really infuriating for it to keep picking me up with red wavy lines underneath when I know very well that it's correct English spelling, but it's trying to get me to switch it to American English. And the language selection, it only offers English. It doesn't offer distinction. So it's my biggest bugbear.
That's a good point. I've written that down. I've had that before, and I've had to actually then second guess myself and Google which is UK, which is US. So we'll feed that back. Thank you.
Okay.
So I just want to, we did actually feedback that during the initial development of it. And so it was something that our development team looked at, and they couldn't do it as part of the scope of our project and delivery, but it has been added to that broader backlog that we talked of to sort of say, this could happen and change for everyone across the board. So I know that it is on their list, but they didn't give us any indication of when that might happen. It is a bit surprising considering this sort of has its genesis in the UK in terms of Wagtail platform. So yeah, hopefully.
Anyone?
Yeah, carry on, Colin, with your list.
Well, I'll just touch on another one. I'm finding it very irritating that you have to select a bit of text before you're offered the editor functions of bolding and italics and linking and so on. I noticed that you mentioned there's a pin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I haven't really played with that. Is that a way of avoiding that issue?
That would be a way of avoiding. What I'm not sure of is once you pin it, whether that becomes your default or whether you still have to go through the highlight it and then choose to pin. So it is, I agree, actually. I think Simon obviously has gone on the positive spin of that enhancement where it pops out, but I did personally prefer when it was just pinned within the box.
Part of the benefit is if you're on a long block of paragraph text, which is where we typically use it, that little floating bar will kind of float to wherever you're highlighting down the bottom. Caveat that because I have occasions where I'll highlight something up top and then do whatever the formatting is, make something a hyperlink, and then I'll be seeking to do something lower down the page. I'll highlight that, but that little floating box has stayed up top. So sometimes you've got to click within the body of the page and then highlight, because if you go from one highlight direct to another. But just while we're talking, I'm going to do a quick test to see if that pinned view is sort of persistent. I'll come back to you on that.
Okay. And related to that, text selection. I've a number of cases. Hang on a second. I've made a note about it. It's logged me out. Sorry, bear with me a second. If you're selecting text in a dialog box, sorry, hang on a minute. Right, if you're selecting text in a dialog box, if you drag the mouse to select the text from right to left, quite often the dialog box just disappears and you've lost all the input in the entire dialog box. You have to start all over again, and that is incredibly frustrating. I don't know if it's just me that's finding that.
It's not just you. That is really annoying. Yeah. I think, Tony, we've already got it, but if we haven't, as in on our list, but if we haven't, it's definitely doing, because I get infuriated as well.
Flag that as a bug rather than and we can check if that's something that is with our system or across Wagtail.
So I've just done a quick test with that pinning. So I pin that pop-up view, and then subsequently when I open up other paragraph stream fields, so new ones, that pinned presentation is the same. I haven't logged out and back in, so I don't know whether it's ongoing persistent, but certainly on the page that I'm editing, it's persistent. So you can kind of go for that view or that presentation of that little edit ribbon if it's the way you prefer it.
Okay, I've got others, but I'll wait for the collaboration thingy so I don't hog all the question time. Thanks for your help.
No worries. Angie.
Hi, thank you, Tony, and thank you for the session so far. It's been good. I had a question which I raised with you, Tony, last time we chatted, which was about the tables and how they're read using the screen reader, whether it goes down the columns or across, because I think sometimes tables can be quite an issue in terms of accessibility. So I wondered, Simon, if you knew how it worked and whether you could change the kind of direction things were read in or anything like that.
I don't know is my short answer, and it's it's a good question, because I know that the layout of those tables change as well when you go into portrait mode. So yeah,
Okay,
that
well,
would be a good one to follow up with the vendor. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks very much. That's really kind.
Beverly.
Hi, I don't know whether it's possible, but we have the National Clinical Excellence Awards that open. So I've done the recent page, and thank you for letting it go through quite quickly, saying that they're open and we have a timetable and everything. But then at some point they're going to close. So what I used to do was strip all that information out and put these are now closed. Is there any way that I can have 2 pages and I can make one visible and the other one hidden, and then sort of when it's closed switch, rather than stripping all the information out every time and then having to redo it each year?
So I would probably suggest what you could do is continue doing what you're doing, which is stripping it out and putting it's closed, and then use the history to go back to the previous version when they open again. I mean, you could do 2 pages, but if we're pointing, all of the comms would point people to one page, so they would just land on a page that was no longer there or would give them the wrong information. So I'd probably suggest using the history so that you're not having to redo everything. You can revert back to previous version, and then it would bring all of the text that you had up previously.
Yeah, because that was the problem, was like I couldn't quite remember what had been written previously. So it's the history. Okay, that's great.
In the page history, when you come to do it, just feel free to reach out to us and say, I'm just about to do this and can we talk through how to do it.
Okay, that's great.
But I'd suggest that then it just stays on the same page and everyone is used to going to that page.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. That saves me a lot of work.
No worries. And I guess just for everybody to be aware that the page history for all of your updates are kept, and sometimes it is, it's helpful for us during moderation as well. Sometimes we'll look at that page history to see what's changed on the page, so we don't have to reread the whole page. We're looking at what's changed. Colin, did you want? I can't see any other hands up. Colin, were there other bits you wanted to raise?
Oh, you don't want to get me started. The last updated date on some pages on Connect, I asked a while back, but I think that's still an ongoing question, that how you activate that last updated date on a specific page on Connect, because some pages it does it automatically, and others I want to have that function on the page, but it's not there.
I think from memory it was the team page, wasn't it? I don't think we have it on the team pages. Is that right, Col? Is that the one that it was?
I can't remember which page it was on.
No, I'll have a look. I think that's another one, Tony. I think we have captured it, but and we might have even relayed that during development, and I need to look on that one. I'm pretty sure we did. And
so it's not necessarily, Colin, about it is not working on some pages, it just isn't there on some pages. Is that correct?
Yes, I mean there's I'm guessing that there's some function somewhere, but it's so well hidden I can't find it. But and it allows you to say, display an updated date on this page, and it automatically does it. There are pages that I'm responsible for that have that already enabled, and I want it on other pages, but it's I can't figure out how to do it.
I suspect it's, as Simon says, maybe it's not part of some page template. So we'll pick that up with Torchbox, who run Wagtail for us and see if that's something that we could deploy onto all page types. I know what we were really keen in the development that it was included, so people know they're getting up-to-date information, or the information they're reading might not be so up to date, but yeah, it would be useful to have that on all page types.
I've just checked. It is the team pages that don't have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carry on if you like. Nobody else is putting their hand up.
Let me, because we are over time, so I just want to,
Okay.
in case anybody wants to drop off, but don't go anywhere, Colin, because I will stay on, and anyone else who wants to stay on. But just to let people know, if people do need to drop off, that there is a Connect support page. You access it via IT and systems, and then the system support you'll see in this is a screenshot, so I can't demonstrate it, but click on there, then under system support, Connect support, it will bring you to this page. On this page we've got best practice demos, training videos of how to do certain things as little reminders, but also just get in touch with us. This is the email address that's monitored, and we try and come back to you as soon as possible. If you've got questions or need help with anything, please do let us know. And I'm happy to stay on. Colin will stay on, and anyone else who would like to raise questions and enhancements, please do. But understand if people need to drop off, and thank you very much for joining. I'll stop sharing this so I can see more of people's faces. Okay, Colin, hit me with the next one.
Okay. On the I can't remember what the phrasing is. The last updated date, or X months ago. Yes, the X months ago. I'm finding that quite infuriating. If I want to actually see when a revision was made, it will show me the list of people, and it will show me X months ago as the date, and you could hover over it to find out the actual date. I'm just wondering why on earth it's set up that way. Wouldn't it be more straightforward just to show the actual date?
Is that in the Wagtail admin are you talking about?
Yes, Wagtail.
Yes, admin, yeah. Have we had that one raised before, Simon? I think that's a good point. The date rather than X months ago would probably be more useful. I'll add that to our list.
Okay. Oh, phone numbers. I'm not quite sure what the current advice is on linking on phone numbers. I think Michael Frost said at some point that it's not necessary anymore, but I'm not entirely sure whether it is. I carried on adding in the phone links on phone numbers in documents. But every time I do that, I wonder why on earth can't the system actually detect that this is obviously a phone number and automatically put the code in.
So I wonder if that's sort of what Michael was saying. Quite often the browsers handle that, so we don't need to hyperlink. And it comes from people on mobile devices, right? So if they're looking at Connect and they see a number for a team they want to call, yeah, exactly. They kind of, if we make the hyperlink, then someone's got a button or a link they can click on, and hopefully it just calls up the dialer within whatever phone. It's going to be a phone device that they're on. But yeah, like you said, quite often the browser itself is doing that and saying, oh, you've selected something which is a sequence of numbers. Do you want to call it? So I haven't actually talked to them about it. I can't. That could be something that we think, yeah, why? Let's just put our position that all the browsers can kind of manage that. I've not tested it, but yeah, maybe one we take away, Tony, and just say, look, this is the position. You don't need to worry about it, or yes, you should, because yeah, I don't know.
The other problem with it, from a practical point of view, is that it's quite possible to put the wrong number in one or the other places, so that it will actually ring the wrong phone number.
Yeah.
So there needs to be something. The system needs to check that the two, if it's necessary for us to update them, the system needs to check that the numbers do actually match. Particularly when you think in terms of updating those, phone numbers change. So somebody editing it might just change the number on the text, but forget to go in and change the number on the link.
Yeah, that is a risk. I mean, part of that is because I think, as I demonstrated with the email, you could have something that's not an email address. You could say, call us here, and it's just a link and it's text. And when they click on that, that's when it's actually the phone number. that's typically not how we're using it. We're just in the habit of putting the number. I think actually having the number could be better practice from an accessibility point of view, because if someone's got a screen reader, they're not just getting call us here. I don't know. That's another one. I'm not sure. Whereas actually getting the number, blah, 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 is more useful because that can be transposed or whatever. But yeah, it's that whole thing I think we should actually have a position on and communicate out.
Yeah, we'll follow up with that one.
Thanks. Okay, I've run out of things at the moment.
Okay. Oh, that was good. All good. Thank you very much for raising those. I think it would be, we'll try and get these in more regularly, because I think hopefully then we can have a bit more of a rhythm of these things are annoying or can't it be done in a better way, and hopefully we'll be able to feedback on any actions coming out of them a bit sooner. I think we'll close there unless there are any other questions from anybody. But as I say, after today, if you go away and think, well, I meant to ask about this, or actually this is really another bugbear with Wagtail, please drop us a line. Use the cuh.connect email address or direct to me. I'm happy for you to email me as well. And have a good, Indy.
Left it the last minute. The one question is, put video clips on the main body. I have this difficulty on the uploading on the. We can link up the video clips and the like YouTube and all the, because we're doing the well-being promotions. So put a video clip on the main body. How does it work? Because that's something I've been lacking on the.
It has to be a YouTube link.
It has to be a YouTube link.
It has to be a YouTube link.
So you can't like download the recorded version. You can't put it on the main body.
No.
Okay.
Has to, so upload to YouTube.
Okay.
We have a YouTube,
a
corporate YouTube account. Upload to YouTube, and then it's a YouTube link. Unless Simon, you say something different.
Well, no, Vimeo works as well, but it's got to be hosted on a video sharing platform, basically. So I know YouTube and Vimeo work. Yeah, we're not uploading that actual video and hosting it on Connect. It's hosted somewhere else, and we just link to it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I thought I saw another hand go up there. Maybe not. Okay, we'll draw to a close. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll stop recording.